and he was big into like the flip challenge he had.
Yeah. The flip challenge
Yeah.
The
stole it.
garage sale flips.
Yeah. And I was just watching that shit, and oh, can I curse?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
didn't mean
Oh,
to.
fuck
Fuck
yeah.
yeah, you can.
Wait.
All right, welcome back to the Built by Bailey's podcast. We are here sitting excited. I apologize right now. I'm 2 coffees deep here, and I don't usually drink more than 1 cup, so I got a little adrenaline pumping, which is going to be fun for these 2 characters. Evan, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Recovering
Yeah.
from knee surgery, doing all right.
Yeah, we'll talk about your knee surgery in a minute as well. But yeah, we're excited. We're back with another episode of Built by Bailey's podcast. I want to say thank you real quick to Confluence SBC co-working space in Boulder County. They've got anything you are looking for in the world of virtual office now, or if you need an office, they have those as well. I believe, as Tom Hardy's told me, they do have some leases coming up. Check the website, though, confluencesbc.com, for all of your co-working needs. Phenomenal building. It's where we started our podcast back in the day, and it's a great place. So shout out to Tom. Also want to thank Brian Scott of 6ix9ine Design. Of course, he's done the logo. He does all kinds of phenomenal stuff. Graphic design, sticker game is all locked up with Brian Scott. He's a super, super talented guy. Love Brian.
And a nice guy.
And he's also a nice guy. He certainly is a nice guy.
Yeah.
We love Brian.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, we have on the show today, and I've been actually pretty hyped to get this guy on for a while. We had yet another cancellation of screwing around with everybody's schedule these days is fun. But I wanted to have this guy on, and it just happened that he said yes sooner than later. Zach, welcome to the show. Zach is, make sure I get this right. You are now a 7-figure eBay seller. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that means.
Anyone over the age of 30 is like,
anyone's like, well, wait, hold on, 7 figures of what? I'll just real quick say Zach is killing it. He is 22 years old. You can see behind him, he's got a plethora of stuff. And he is killing this online e-commerce game, right? And I know that especially in the last year or so, people are wondering, how the hell else can I make money? Everyone can relate to this on some level. They've either lost their jobs, been in furlough, whatever. And he's one of the guys. And I'm going to call you a kid, man. I apologize. But compared to us, you were a kid. He's one of these kids
For sure.
that is making a lot of money, being successful. His story is one I wanted to tell. Obviously, he's going to tell it. But I'm excited to have him on. Welcome to the show, bud.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And where are you at, Zach? Tell everybody where you're at.
I'm in Merrick, New York, Long Island.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we were just talking about this, but to set you up here a little bit, with the pandemic, I mean, almost everything you buy now comes to your doorstep. So I would imagine, between Amazon and eBay or Etsy and a lot of people working from home and stuff like this. So I think this is a pretty good topic to discuss, and certainly on the Built by Bailey's podcast, we want to talk about people who are building things, whether that's, tangible like houses or alternative construction or businesses or building wealth, all that kind of stuff. So you're a perfect example of what we like to discuss. So why don't you we were talking about a little bit before the podcast, but why don't you rehash again how you got into this? And take it from there. Tell us how you got into this.
Yeah. So mainly I came back from my sophomore year of college. My first year of college, I went to community college just in my town. Then I went away to school in Buffalo, University of Buffalo. And let's just say I had a little too much fun, and 1 year
As
was
we
enough.
all did.
Yeah.
And 1 year was enough, and then I came home from that and just knew school wasn't for me. Started working at this wing place just in the next town over,
I love
and
wings.
yeah, this place called Wing Zone, and I was working there like 6 days a week, and like I was killing it. Like I always just like work mad hard, but I was just like, this can't be it. Like I was like thinking like 5, 10 years down the line. I was like, we got to do something. And then so I was always just like on Instagram, like looking at like those ads of those kids like in Lambos or like
Right.
doing a 50K in Shopify a month, and I was just like, what are they doing? Like, there's no way that's real, but like, there's got to be something else out there that I can find. And like, I followed Gary V like heavy at the time, and this was like 2017, 2018 ish.
Okay.
And he was big into like the flip challenge he had.
Yeah. The flip challenge
garage,
stole
the
it.
garage sale flips.
Yeah. And I was just watching that shit. And oh, can I curse?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
fuck
fuck
yeah,
Wait,
you can.
Wait. So I was just watching that, and I was like, bro, I could do that. And like, I knew my dad sold on eBay a little bit, so I was just like, how, like, I could do this. Like, I was watching like him literally just go to garage sales, cop things for a couple of dollars, and I started like just following different people on Instagram and on YouTube. And then I just started doing it, going to thrift stores and garage sales every single solitary day. Like when I wasn't working, I'd be at a thrift store or something, listing something. And
I got Macklemore in my head now.
and eventually it just like took over like Wing Zone. I started like making as much as I was making at Wing Zone. And then I was thinking like, damn, like if I could put all the time I'm putting into Wing Zone into this,
Right.
like the sky's the limit. And
how fast was some of that initial turnaround stuff? So when you were going to a thrift store and you saw something and you're like, all right, I know I can buy for X, sell for Y. All right. So obviously you have to spend your own money to buy it in the beginning.
Right.
But how fast were you, like, I'm trying to think of how to word this question. You couldn't just stock up on everything, right? You kind of had to play this little game of like buy and sell, buy a couple things and sell until it got bigger. Is that right?
Almost like just-in-time inventory. If you don't know what that is, it's kind of buy just enough to be able to get it back out the door quickly, right? Sort of.
Yes. So what was happening with the garage sales and the thrift stores? Max, in the beginning when I first started, like I made it a thing. Like max I was paying for something was $1, $5, $10. So I was kind of loading up on inventory for like I wasn't going like now I kind of buy stuff at retailers and stuff.
Yeah.
So like it's a lot more expensive. But like back in the day, I was low capital. I had under $1,000, $2,000, but I was making it work. Like I could go to the thrift store and get 10, 12 things to list on eBay for $20, $50, or like a garage sale. Like I could get like I could load up a whole pile depending on like if it was like like an estate sale where like they run it and they kind of know, or it was like a low-key garage sale just like around here. Sometimes I was getting like really good deals like on I was selling a lot of I'm just trying to remember, everything goes so fast. In the beginning I was trying to sell like I was selling a lot of clothes, just like a lot of like jackets and stuff, just like LL Bean and
but big brand name stuff. And this is the part that
for
fascinates me, because you find stuff and you're just literally flipping. I mean, you're not really doing anything to it, right? If you find some at a thrift store, you just turn around, put it back on and list it for, I mean, how do you figure out a value at that point? Because you're buying it so cheap.
So everything that people are buying like is on eBay for the most part. Like if you look up a certain like Levi's, like, Levi's 511s, Levi's
Right.
510s, or like you find something like that and look it up, there's most likely going to be some sold/completed listings. You just, whatever the item is you're looking for, you just filter the search, sold/completed listings,
Right.
and it shows you how much the item sold for and the date. So you could get a rough idea if like you're seeing that pair of jeans sell like a few times per day, like
Yeah.
it's a decent item, and like you could get it for $5, they're going for 30 or 40. Um, but the main thing I was flipping when I started was like old kitchen stuff.
Really? Like what?
Really?
That was like my dad's thing a little bit, like old like Revereware pans and like Farberware
Oh.
pans and just like pots and pans and stuff like that, and like electric skillets, like old like toaster ovens,
Huh.
like just like GE toaster ovens. Like try to find them in the box.
Okay.
Like it. Some of them new, they're going for $100, $150, and like me, like I was picking them up for $5, $10. Like it's crazy. Just like old like kitchen appliances. Like one good score I had at a thrift store, I got a under the counter can opener, a Black and Decker
Oh yeah.
under the counter can opener.
Mhm.
It was $3.99, and like I got a bunch of other stuff, and I had like a 20% off coupon that day. I probably got it for like $3.50, and I sold it for like $95,
Jeez.
like plus like $10 shipping. And it was just stuff like that. Like I was getting so many like 5 for 50s, 10 for 100s, and it was just like stuff you wouldn't like think like is selling, but it's selling. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And are you finding stuff that's like close to new? I mean, you said there's stuff that's still in boxes too, but I mean, to me, it's just fascinating to find out what you, because I've seen stuff like that at a thrift store. There's literally stuff in boxes that hasn't been opened yet, and people just hold on to crap, forget they have it from a Christmas gift or whatever it happens, and then they just turn around and drop it off at a thrift store. Thrift store puts it up for whatever because they have, they're in it to kind of, most of them are nonprofits. But you're finding that stuff. Are you doing any work to it, or is there stuff that's broken that you're still trying to sell?
So it was total, like, so like there was like phases to it. Like in the beginning, like I would go to a thrift store or two a week, or like twice a week,
Mm-hmm.
and like it just wasn't working. Like I wasn't like making like any like decent like money at all. I wasn't really finding anything.
Right.
It wasn't until like I was every second of my spare time I was at a thrift store, at a garage sale, buying something off Facebook Marketplace. Like I was in these discords were like kind of just starting up, like reseller discords.
Right.
So like they were starting up. It was always people like talking about like look for this item, like look for this there, and like it was just constantly all day every day. It was the only thing I did. So like it wasn't like an 8-hour job a day. Like I was
Mhm.
doing it
Right.
12, 14 hours a day. Like I still
Yeah.
do,
Mhm.
because I like it,
Yeah. Nope. He freeze on us.
and there's
There we
money. But it's definitely it's 50% the stuff I find and 50% the time I put in, because I put in a lot of time.
What have you
Yeah.
noticed doesn't sell? What did you think would sell? And then, I mean, I think like, oh, you maybe like art or something like that. And you're like, God, it just doesn't sell. Have you ran
Yes.
into things like categories that are like a no-go zone or anything like that?
Condoms.
Yes. So
Boxes of condoms.
Yeah.
so I tried to start with the clothes heavy, because
Mhm.
everyone was only doing not only doing clothes, but that was mainly what people did, was
Mhm.
like t-shirts and like jeans and used shoes and stuff like that. And I did find some stuff, but it was like 10-15% of my inventory in the beginning, like 10% of my
Mhm.
inventory. I was finding mainly like kitchen stuff, appliances, electronics, DVD players, CD players, VCRs. I was selling a ton of those in the beginning.
VCRs?
VCRs, bro. Getting them
What?
for, again, $2, $3, $5, $10, selling some of them for $50, $100.
That's crazy. Who was buying VCRs? Maybe like nostalgia? I don't know what
That's the boomers.
It's just these certain
It's got to
model
be
numbers
nostalgia.
these people like. Yeah,
Huh.
they had it when they were a kid.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm sure, like, if you could remember, like, there was some VCR thing, like, if like you really remembered, like, oh, we had that one, and like my parents had that, I want to get that. So like that's what I think a lot of
That's
it is. 'Cause
crazy.
who's buying a VCR? But I was selling a ton of them.
Huh.
Dude, that's crazy.
Be Kind Rewind. Remember that?
Be Kind Rewind. Yeah, before you took it back to Blockbuster. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, how much in the beginning did you buy stuff and it didn't sell? And then if it didn't sell, what did you do with it? You just kept it until it sold?
So I often didn't run into too much of I didn't have stuff that like wasn't selling because when I started I had no money. So like I wasn't buying stuff to take a risk. I wasn't like, "Oh, I can maybe sell this." Like, yeah, I'm going to get this, sell in a couple months. Like if there was not like some decent information on like a recent sold date, like a decent margin, I know after shipping and fees, I'm going to at least make 10, 20, $30, like depending on how big the item. Like I wasn't going in. It was definitely strategic. Like I wasn't buying anything unless I had good info on it.
Yeah.
So for the most part, everything I was buying was selling.
So what dominates your inventory now? Is there something that kind of like you always are looking for, and if you find it, you always get it?
So now, since COVID started, I haven't been to a garage sale or a thrift store.
Yeah.
So once COVID started, it was a total switch up. Like I had to start getting everything online and only online. Like now I only get stuff online. I don't leave the garage. I don't like go into in-store. I used to do like an in-store route at the Walmarts and Targets by me. I had like a route of like four Targets and like 4 Walmarts, and I was going every single day to try and get stuff in store, but it's tough. Like I had a hard time here, but like I know people in like other states that kill it. Like they go to their stores and get thousands of dollars worth of Pokemon cards and sports cards, and I was going for a long time. I couldn't find one thing on like they have like the clearance too. Like there was one time I was going every single day for like almost a year, like on the route. One time I found like these 4 Razer keyboards that were like $80 and they were on clearance for $11 a piece.
Oh my God.
And these like 4 mouses that were like $50 on clearance for like 7. That was the one time like I hit a nice score, but I was just having trouble on the in-store at the retailers here. I was killing at the garage sales and thrift stores, but that just wasn't working, and that's when I went like full time on the computer.
Buying new, like going and looking for things on clearance and sale, like that makes sense, but it just for a layman like me, it's like
the same thing.
Unless it's old and vintage and you can't really find it, how does Amazon not like monopolize that market?
Right.
All right. So if it's, let's say it's $50 retail, let's talk about the mouse pads or the mouses for saying it's $50 and you got it on clearance for 10. I mean, couldn't you still go onto Amazon and just buy it for $50? So how does that still work, or is it, it is a thing, but some people just prefer eBay over Amazon, or like walk us through that, because to me it just seems like I could just go on to Amazon and just get it.
Okay, so like you're saying, why would someone get it on eBay over Amazon?
Yeah, especially if it's something like new. I can understand if it was like a vintage T-shirt or a VCR, right? Something that's just like, so I could understand, like we were talking about American Pickers. Like in that arena, I could totally understand it. You find it, someone's getting rid of it. It has a value to somebody else. It's either vintage or it's an antique, or it's discontinued or hard to find. But if it's just like a Razer keypad, I mean, you could just go onto Amazon and buy a Razer keypad. So then why would they go on and buy it from your eBay store? Is it cheaper?
For sure. It's sometimes it is like $5-10 cheaper, which is like a huge thing for like someone. $5-10 cheaper, like I take that all day. And also that's what like I was thinking, like Amazon does like almost 50% of like e-commerce sales is on Amazon. Like it's absurd. eBay has like around 6%.
Oh wow,
which
is that
is
low?
like,
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, but like it's still, if you think about it, people are buying stuff online like crazy now. So it's really, the traffic is insane. Like if like I could like show my like analytics, like on like my whole eBay page, I'm getting like anywhere from like 5 to like 10 million impressions per month, which is like, I'm assuming like that's like either not specifically views on eBay, but like I think like a view on an ad somewhere too. So like it's just, there's just so much traffic online. So like whether it's Amazon, eBay, Target, Walmart, like people are just buying anything.
Yeah. So the idea is you could essentially, if you bought yours for 10, I guess you always have the ability to undercut, right? Like, and that's what you mean by like $5-10. So if you doing your research, like, all right, this retails for $60, I can buy it for 11. You're checking all the places, you see what they've been sold on eBay, you see what they're listed on Amazon. You're like, I'll put mine on for 45 and I'll be the cheapest one. And with all that traffic, anyone who's looking for it, someone's bound to find it, and I'll make a quick $30-40 and we'll call it good. And that's kind of like, so the idea is that you can still buy things new, even though there is a huge competitor, Amazon. You have the ability to be able to decide your profit margin. And if you want, you can be the cheapest at any time.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Bargain shopping. I mean, everyone does that in the
I-
store too, right? I mean, you go to the store and you're looking around for stuff. So it's this. I mean, people are going to do that more online now. I mean, I'm sure, Zach, you're seeing kind of, is that kind of how it's summarized? You're seeing that more of people just looking for something $5 cheaper?
Yes, and sometimes it's even the same price. It's not always like it's cheaper. It's weird how it works. It's weird how it works. It's honestly, there's just so many new even platforms popping up. I don't know if you guys know about Mercari.
No.
It's just another new like selling app, selling and buying app.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many people buying stuff now. Like buying on Facebook Marketplace is like getting really big. Like you could do like shipping on Facebook Marketplace.
I'll be damned.
And it's the same thing. Like people just like don't care anymore. People just buy stuff to buy stuff. Like, you know how it is. Like I think it's almost, there are people that are looking for that deal and they go to those certain platforms, but and I feel like there's the majority of people that are just like, buy it, just buy it. Like, okay.
Like it pops up before anybody else. So your online presence obviously is a huge deal, because the faster they can find something, the quicker they're going to buy it, right?
For sure. Sure.
So how do you try, I mean, talk to me like I'm two, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners won't understand this either. But so let's say you Pokemon cards, right? So you get your hand on some Pokemon cards, you got a good deal on them, you're going to put them up. There's probably a ton of Pokemon cards on eBay, right? So how do you get your Pokemon cards separated from the pack? Is there things that you do, or just the fact that they're there is kind of good enough? Or do you, like, you know, that's like kind of think search engine optimization type stuff. Like, what do you do to try to get more traffic to your products? Or is there anything you can do?
For sure. There's tons of things you could do. For Pokemon cards specifically. So like there's a bunch, it gets kind of like specific. It's like the sealed product, like before you even open the packs. And then like when you open the packs, the raw cards. And then now you could also get them graded. So like, you guys know about the card grading?
No. Not a clue.
So
look at me, man. I'm old.
There's a Pokemon cards out there, like a perfect, like they call it a PSA 10, like that's the grading company.
Okay.
PSA, and like a 10 is like a perfect card, like the corners are good, the centering's perfect. There's $350,000 Pokemon cards out
Wow.
there. Like it's
Wow.
crazy. So it depends, like some,
Can't even
if
wrap my
you,
head around that.
it's crazy. So like you pull, so there's this box of Pokemon cards right there. The box retails for 45. It's reselling for about 90, and there's like a card in there that you could pull for the Charizard, and like raw it could be worth any raw, like ungraded, just when you pull it out of the
Straight out
pack
of the
normal,
package.
it could be worth anywhere from like 200 to like $700. But if
Good
you get it
Lord.
graded and it's a 10, it could be worth anywhere from like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, depending on, it gets real specific with like,
Sure.
there's holographic ones that are like more rare, or like just a normal Charizard. So it gets a little specific, but for like listing optimization, I'm on like my listings all the time, messing with the keywords and the title. Like you want to make it like what's something someone would search up. Like
Right.
you're trying to sell the Built by Bailey's hat.
Right.
Like you wouldn't want to put like gray and orange fitted hat. You would want to put like fitted hat Built by Bailey's. Like, you would want,
Yeah, like the order.
like,
Yeah.
yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you just always got to be messing with it, like putting certain words in front of a certain word, switching it up. And like you could see, like it shows you like the amount of views you're getting on a listing. And then also there's a thing where like a buyer could watch a listing. So like it shows you like they're watching the listing to see like if it's going to sell, if there's other people watching. So like you could kind of see if you're getting no views, you might want to take new pictures with like a white background, or switch up the title a little bit and like try and just mess with it to try and get more views or watchers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the same game's been for a long time, but I mean, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff is just about the presence. And so, yeah, you're constantly playing with those words, and the way they're put together is more important than even the word sometimes, just the way people search, even like misspelled stuff. If it's commonly misspelled, then that's a good way to put something in too, which I've found. But I can't believe it's like baseball cards. I mean, Evan and I used to collect those, and you'd get them graded in the same way too for stuff like that. But it's that's wild, man.
At this point, is it still just kind of just you doing this, or like if you saw the next level of this,
right?
Maybe that's a better question. Like what? So right now, you got inventory, you're trying to sell it, but like for you, what's the next level of this?
So I only ever started selling on eBay just because I knew working for someone else wasn't it. I just knew if I could put in hours a day working on myself on my own business, it would blow out any paycheck. So this was just my beginning. My goal with this was to get enough money to start like taking courses and like learning new things, which I did, and I still do. I don't buy courses as much, but like that was my main goal in the beginning. Like I had $0. Like I just came home from college. I had under $500, $1,000, like at all times, and I was like, this can't be it. Like I gotta learn how to like be smart with my money. Like that was just like never a thing. And I just I never had like, just from the beginning I was just like, I just need to do something that isn't working, so I just started doing this. It was never a plan. I just I just totally sent it.
But you've got the right mindset for it. I mean, that's the thing too, is you mean, we use the word hustle on this podcast a lot, but it's something you're right. You're grinding. People don't realize when they hear someone like you doing this stuff, his life must be so easy now. And you're just sitting there putting stuff online, and the whole back end of this is so much work just to get to the point where you're at. And I mean, you did it in a phenomenally short time, in my opinion, but there's so many hours put into something like this that I don't think people realize. And I think that's why it doesn't work for most people, and you don't see more people doing it. I know people that have tried it, but
yeah, I think it takes a lot more if you want it to be your thing.
Your thing, exactly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you can go out on a weekend and hit up a couple garage sales and put some stuff up and maybe make a couple $100 a week or something like that. But if you want it to be your thing, if you want it to be your business, you know, and take it from a hobby that that you can monetize a little bit to a business, an e-commerce business, you know, like, even though the act is the same, the difference is, you know, night and day. You know, and you can see that with a lot of things. I mean, you can go in the summertime and just mow a couple lawns on the weekend, get a couple old people and say, hey, I'll mow your lawn for $20. And you're like, listen, it takes me, you know, 10 minutes to mow this person's lawn, and I can do the neighborhood, to then having an actual lawn care company.
Right.
You know, and it's like, so, you know, Zach here has made the decision, all right, let me get comfortable with the process, right? Let me work out my own process, come up with my own algorithms, my own way of determining value and turnaround and sellability, and you've been tinkering with that until all of a sudden you're like, all right, it starts to kind of dial in a little bit, and you're like, all right, now this works. And then you can start kind of trimming off the fat and getting more lean. You're looking for specific products, you have a better process, you're playing around with the wordings, and next thing you know, it's like, all right, I think I have it now, I just need more stuff. Right. And then once that happens, you're really just doing this massive inventory management where you're looking, buying and selling and shipping, and all of a sudden you have a legitimate e-commerce business that, and that's kind of why, I mean, is that kind of accurate, Zach? Does that kind of sound about right?
Nailed it on the head. Nailed it.
And then once you get that, it's like, all right, well, how can I do this 10 times what I'm doing, right? How does that, because there's only one of me, and Shane and I have discussed this before, but, you know, it's this whole cash is king and time is queen thing. You know, it's like, you got to have money, got to have cash, got to buy products, but you also have to have the time to collect them, package them, sell them, research, do your analytics, and do all of this. And pretty soon there's only so much time, and you run into this equation of like, I'm already at my ceiling. I can't just go from 16 hours to 20 hours a day, right? So now I got to figure out how to get time back. And that's kind of what I was curious about is, you know, do you ever foresee yourself saying, hiring somebody to say, go find these products for me, right? And I'll approve the purchases, or maybe, or on the other end, I'm always going to do that because that's really where the money's made. But what I want you to do is to manage keyword optimization. I want you to do the site work. I want you guys to do the cross-platform stuff on Instagram and the marketplace. And I want to have some people doing shipping all day long. Do you ever see yourself getting into that kind of direction?
Yeah, I totally like wanted to do something like that in the beginning, and I always thinking about it. I do have like just 2 virtual assistants, just one guy that does like answers most of my messages on eBay and Facebook Marketplace, and one guy that does like just like the bookkeeping, like just keeps track of like the sales and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and like, I don't love like managing people. Like, I know I can, but I don't like being a boss. Like, I don't like telling people what to do. So like, I would definitely not only do something solo, but not specifically like this. Like I don't know. I have so many ideas. Like, I could go on and on forever. Like, I'm always looking up different stuff all day long. Like I said, like this eBay thing was just a start to just get out of like, you got to go get a job. What are you going to do? Like this, that, like I knew like, just like realistically, like I could just keep doing this. Like I could like tone it back a little bit. Like I could get it down to I only work 6 to 8 hours a day, and I probably would make a decent amount more money than I would be doing like anywhere else.
Mhm.
But I do have like goals. Like I'm gonna be a billionaire. Like it's set. Like that was like from day one. Like I don't know how it's gonna happen, but like it will.
Yeah, and when you set those kinds of big goals, that's when you set those kinds of big goals, there's got to be, you're putting steps in place. I mean, you're young, man. You're 22 years old, but you've got a million years ahead of you to get this all put together. But to me, what I hear is I love money. I want to make it. I want to be successful. I want to help others. But this may not be the end game for you. And it's like kind of the fuel that's starting your fire to move into that, I want to be a billionaire kind of range. So what are some of the other things you're looking at doing? What are you're obviously you're investing a little bit, you're learning that side of things. Where are you seeing yourself go in the next year? I mean, we're in the beginning of the year, I guess. So
yeah, so like I invest, like I don't want to talk about investments specifically, but like I'm in
generally.
I'm in crypto. I'm in stocks, I'm in crypto, I'm about to get into real estate. That's going to be crazy. And I feel like just that, and like I know my e-commerce stuff a little bit. I really want to expand and like learn Facebook ads, Google ads, just like how to build like a real brand,
right?
And like just build like mainly I really want to lately I'm working on like how to build a real brand and like something that like people like will really fuck with,
right?
Just like how like I fuck with like Full Send. I don't know, do you guys know Full Send?
Yep.
It's just like these like kind of like pranksters. Yeah, they're savages, sick guys. Like just like FaZe, the gaming team, FaZe Banks, huge I guess you could say not idol, but I totally look up to him. Great dude.
Right.
Just like they're really like for the people, but like totally doing their own thing.
Sure.
And, like I just yeah, like I said, I don't know how, but it's gonna happen.
What's funny is like listening to your story, and then we had oh gosh, Shane, help me remind me of the other young guy we had on the podcast.
We had Adrian on
Adrian.
Adidas.
Thank you. Yep. And do you know Adrian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good friends with him.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. And there's so much like there's a lot of this like parallel story happening, and we didn't talk about it as much with Adrian, but I feel like it's a good place to kind of bring it up. This whole like, going and working for somebody wasn't really for me. I sympathize with you, and so does Shane.
Yep. Right there.
My first business was in my 20s, and it was, and I won't rehash that story, but
maybe we should.
But I was working for a bank. I'll do it very quick. Working for a bank, and I get laid off in 2008, 2009. So I'm like, what is that? That's I'm like 29 or something, and I couldn't believe I was laid off. Like they were keeping some people, and I was one of their top employees at the bank, recognized as a top employee, promoted like a top employee, and I was like, oh, and I was like you're not fucking keeping me. Like, what? This is so strange. Like I'm the guy that works with all the other underperforming people. So you kept some of the people I've been mentoring, but you got rid of me. And I think I know why to this day. But I started my first business at that point, and it was a lead generating. It was for automotive leads called Low Penny, and I had this idea where I knew from the car business that people bought leads. Like they'll buy, just names of people basically. And do you want to buy a car, right? And I thought, well, there's got to be a way better way to do that than just to go through the phone book and just call people, right? Or to get a list of names of people who just recently registered a vehicle or some shit, right? So I was like, and this was kind of like Facebook, it's 2008, that was a thing now, and everyone was kind of having their Facebook pages. I'm like, this is really what it should be. And I saw a commercial for Lending Tree, which is, let the banks compete for you, right? So you go in, you do this, and all the banks come in and make offers. And I thought that was probably a better way to generate organic leads, right? Is let me make my car buying portfolio, essentially, or profile, right? And I knew how to set one up because I came from auto finance, and they would all come to a site. They would create their online presence. Here's me as a car buyer, roughly my credit, the money, the car I'm looking for, whatever. And then we would put that into like an eBay style back end lead generator where dealers would then go in and they would look at it and say, oh, there's Zach. He's got the right money down. He's looking for this car. I happen to have that car. I'm going to bid on it. Right. And so they were bidding on leads. And by the time it was done, you essentially knew as the consumer that there was all this activity behind you, and somebody had spent a bunch of money to try to get you. And so those leads were highly closable. It was basically like, look, I got the car, I got the color, I got the trim, I got the model, I got the bank for you. You can come pick it up. And it's like, boom, I didn't have to do anything except create a pro. Anyways, it worked. It totally worked.
Nice. It was a
And
great
we
idea.
sold,
and we
sold, we would pre-sell, well, the dealer would say, I'm going to buy 1,000 credits, and a credit was $1, right? So we could, and that's kind of how we ended up covering that. So a dealer would say, all right, I'm going to load up my bank for $1,000, and the leads would start off at like $2-3, and sometimes they go up to 10 or 15. Sometimes it'd be like 100. We also decided that we would allow the dealers to see what dealers were bidding on it to create even more competitiveness. So it was like, holy shit, the Ford store across the street, fuck those guys, right? And it worked. And then I ended up going through a second round of funding, and we're like, well, we're going to expand. We're going to get a sales force. We just need more dealers. We have advertisement going, and then I just ran out of money, and I sold it for like next to nothing, and it turned into an actual thing. It was like
It's
sold
now called TrueCar.
Yeah, well, so they turned it into a company called CarWoo. And CarWoo sold to Auto Trader for like $200 and some million.
2 degrees of separation, and Evan's a billionaire.
Yeah, so. Right. Yeah. Okay, but here's my point of telling that story.
That's making him cry a little bit. I
knew I was right. But the reason that's so important is it was like such a weird moment for me, right? Because you realize you've made a mistake, getting rid of it, doing all of that stuff. But you also have this little like arrow in your quiver now. Like, I did have a unique idea, and it did work, and it was successful, right? And more than the actual business itself, it's this validation of ability or being cognitively able to do like what you're doing. And this whole go to college and get your degree and all of this, it's fine. There's nothing wrong. No one was ever worse by having a degree. Right. But if you think about the whole system it's set up for, go to school, get educated, get the piece of paper, let someone know you're educated, right? Let them know you've completed something, which I think is sometimes like 50% of it. Did you finish? Yeah. I finished. No one asked for your GPA or like, did you learn anything? So you're applying for a job. I'm like, I got a corporate communications degree. Great. Let's interview you. Like, do you want to know about the degree? Do you want to know what I know? Nope. No. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. You finished. This is a requirement, right? It's all just to go and use you, either physically or mentally, to be able to use as a company to generate some sort of potential profit, right? That's all. It's just this weird machine, right? And I look at what's behind you right now. I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking machine.
Right.
That's it. So mission accomplished. There is no reason to go to school if school is for essentially this. And anymore, you can, if you want to get educated, just read a book, go get a library card, research stuff online. And what you're doing now is way more of like, think of people going to school for business. It's like you can sit there and you can read about spreadsheets and forecasting, and you can do all these things that you would learn in school, or you can just do it. And I would hire someone like you way before, and you said you're 22?
Yeah.
Like, hire you in a heartbeat over
hands-on
someone
experience.
who went to school. Like, I actually ran a 7-figure e-commerce business or I can get, Susie Q over here who just turned her books back in and she's ready to do something, It's
with
like,
100
no,
G's in debt.
yeah, with 100, yes, who has to make money now, I don't know. I just think it's anymore. I hate to say it's like the death of college. I don't think there is. I think there's a place for it.
There
for
is
sure.
absolutely a place for
Yeah.
it. There's certain things you need to go to school for. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Certain things you want to go. If you want to be a lawyer, got to go to law school. Engineering,
doctor,
medical, right?
Yep.
Things like that. You got to go and you got to learn that shit first. They don't let you do what you're doing with patients.
No.
Like I do. Just people let me operate on them for a while, and I think I got this shit down. But in terms of business, in terms of money, I almost think it's almost an advantage just to start, just to play around with your analytics and coming up with processes and learning discipline and the whole skin in the game, it adds this whole level of responsibility to things. And man, it's dude, it's super impressive. And with saying all of that, I was long-winded, sorry, but this is something, whether you want to expand on this or you want to say, all right, man, I'm going to keep this thing, right? But what I'm going to do is keep this e-commerce. I'm going to keep it making the same amount of money, right? But I'm going to figure out now how to make that same amount of money, but get my time back.
Right.
So now all of a sudden it's, whether I can backfill it with a couple people, right? And they can keep this going. It doesn't lose any money. It doesn't make less money. It makes the same, but I'm getting back 5 hours a day or 20 hours a day. And in my opinion, this is how you build substantial wealth.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily that one thing makes a shit ton of money. It's that you have ways to make money that don't require a lot of time. And so now it's almost like optimization. It's like efficiency. And it's like, I don't have to move on from the e-commerce. I can just diversify my ability to make money by making my e-commerce even more efficient and optimized. And then I can turn that over to Susie Q right out of college, and I can pay her 18 an hour. And I'll be like, hey, aren't you glad you went to college? I got you a job, right? I mean, is that kind of how you're looking at it? Are you wanting to build it more? Are you wanting to keep it? Are you wanting to kind of go through some of that equation a little bit?
Yeah, no, I totally love your thinking. Spot on. I want to do everything you were saying. I just I don't have any of the logistics in place, and it was just definitely I just got to keep talking like people like you guys, or just just people in general, and just I haven't been doing this long. I don't know anything.
Right.
Every day is something new. So for sure I've thought about all that stuff, but at the same time, I'm also just ripping it. All right, I gotta list this. I gotta get on Discord. I gotta check this. I gotta.
Yep.
So I definitely do gotta think about that more for sure. But yeah, I just have a hard time. Just everything moves so fast. There's so much.
Life doesn't stop, man. You're starting to learn that now, and I wish I learned that at his age, Evan. I just
right?
I got into it. I knew from a very early age I was not cut out for corporations. I was not cut out to go work for somebody else. High school and college, I worked for a couple different guys, a home builder, a guy that did, I would call him not maintenance, but he had a big landscaping company. I quickly worked my way up the ladder in the summers between high school and college. It's kind of like managing crews, and the whole time I realized the same thing as you did, is I can't manage people. I don't like telling people what to do, especially knowing that I'm making more money than them, and I'm just basically telling them to go do this job that I know how to do, and I'm fully capable of doing, and probably should just stay doing it. But at the same time, I'm just just finish that up and do this. And they watch me walk off the job to go somewhere else. And I just can feel that disgruntledness behind me of fuck this guy. Why does he get to do this stuff? And in the business that I'm in, home building, landscaping, all that stuff that we did in the past, there's unfortunately, there's a lot of minority influence in those jobs. And I always felt well, here I am, the white guy that's getting slapped into that. So it was I felt I had guilt. I had some guilt by that. And I think from an early age, 19, 20 years old, I realized I'm not going to be cut out to work for somebody else. But I went through all the protocols in college, and I was going to be an architect and all this stuff. And I realized starting out early, by the time I think I was 22 or 23, there's no way. I had arguments with bosses. I had disgruntled coworkers because, I would come in and say I presented this idea, and everybody else is like, well, shit, Shane's, smooching and kissing ass to the guys up. But at the same time, I was trying to work to make things better, and Evan's experiences too. It's like, yeah, slow down. We don't need you to do those things. We just need you to do your job. And I just at that point realized it's not going to be for me. And I had to make a step and a change. Say, all right, well, if I'm not going to work for somebody else, how am I going to make money? What do I like to do? And then you get into that world, and you get into that world quickly if you're good at it and energized with it, and you get buried because you're seeing quickly how fast things move, and you don't have time to step back and say, what's next? You just get into this vicious circle of go, 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 go. And next thing you know, shit, you're 30 years old, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, it takes quite a bit of self-reflection, because like, Zach, if you were, and by the way, I'm gonna act like I'm speaking to you, but I'm speaking like indirectly to you, proverbial you, because you seem to be doing fine without my advice.
Right.
What I mean is like, you almost have to look at yourself as the product, right? And you say, okay, well, where am I spending all my time, right? And I can do this with my products. I can do this with my sites. I can play around with the words. And sometimes it's easy to lose yourself as really the product in here, which is the buyer, the seller, the identifier, the researcher, right? And you say, all right, if I was a tangible product, I need to learn my product as best as I can, right? What do I do without having to be forced to do it, right? Like what just happens naturally? What there are things like, for me, it's easy. There's things that you don't have to ask me to do. I just can't help it, man. I'm just going to dive into it, and I'll stay up late at night racking my brain about it. And I'll go down to my dry erase board and start like scribbling shit everywhere. And there's some things I'm like, God, I got to get that fucking shit done, Jesus. And it's just like, and it's hard. And when you're looking at trying to optimize something, right? It's like the first thing you got to do is you almost got to look at time as as like this tangible item, right? And say there's 24 hours, 6 is going to be this, 4 is this, 3 is this, 10 is this, right? And what are the hours that I'm going to do regardless because I can't help it, right? I'm just drawn to it naturally. It organically happens for me. I'm addicted to the buying process, right? So no one's ever going to take that because I just want to find the little piece of treasure like American Pickers, right? You don't have to ask those guys to go dig through a barn. They can't help themselves. They're just like, look at all that shit. Let's go dig in it, right? But maybe they don't want, the shipping part is just like, oh, God, like that's so transactional. That's not the fun part, right?
Yeah.
And then you can start to say, all right, well, for all the shit that I have to like force myself to do, I can backfill that. I need to know how many hours I have to backfill that. When do I have to have those hours be used? How often? And then you can say, all right, how much can I afford to have someone else potentially do that? So that way I can focus on the passion part of it, right? And make sure that the pieces are there. And then I can replicate myself via other people. And then all of a sudden I get all of that time back, right? So really, if you're only spending a fraction of what you're doing for your e-commerce, it's the part that you're going to do anyways. And now you're looking at it as, but it's hard when you're in the hustle state, right? Because you're just like, it's go, go, go. There's always something to do. And it's like, you got to almost give yourself an hour just to like evaluate your hours, right? And just be like, oh, because otherwise you'll just keep going, right? And pretty soon you have all these fresh ideas, but you have no time left to be able to like really get those things going. Have you guys ever heard of the 7 working geniuses?
I've heard of it. I haven't really dug into it at all.
Google the 7 working geniuses. So it's this guy that came up with them, and I'm usually not into these things that much, but it's basically like the 7 working geniuses, or the idea is that everybody has at least one. Right. And it's not genius like, oh, I'm a genius. It's basically the way they define it is things that just organically you are, and the other ones you can be good at, but you have to force yourself to do them. Right. So there's like the first one I think is like wonderment. So are you someone that like you're always like, I wonder if I could do that faster. Why aren't they doing that? Why? And it's the guy that sits around and just questions everything.
Yeah.
Why would we not do that? Has anybody ever thought that that is ... or why couldn't we right? And so the next one is invention. The people who are just like, they see something broke and they just want to fix it.
Yeah.
Whether that's actually something like tangible or a process. The other one's like this, I think, discernment, which means that you just know it's you can just discern whether or not it is right or wrong. Like you just know it'll work, it won't work. It's where the wonderment guy gets with the invention guy, and they're like, look at what we got here, and that person's like, oh, that's never gonna fucking work. Like, why? Like, you guys haven't even thought this all the way through. It's usually the guy that, or the guy or gal guy, proverbial guy, that can see the big picture easily. Like, yes, I get it, guys, but what you don't know is you're going to get crushed by the giants, right? So when you do that, all of a sudden, it's the guy that has that ability to look at the big picture really clearly, right? And then I think there is tenacity, which is people who just want to finish some shit. I just want to get it done, and they get a lot of like enjoyment out of seeing something from start to end. You know, it's the person that mows the lawn and then sits there and just stares at it for a while and like, God damn, look at that lawn. Fuck, I did that shit, you know? Then there's like enabler, I think, is the person that just can't help. They're like, what do you got? Let me work on that with you. I got someone that can help us. Let me build a team, and they will enable the process. Anyways, you know, when I took this assessment, and I hate these things, I really do. Like, I don't like.
Why do you hate them so much?
I hate them because they're designed for monetization. Right?
True. Facts.
So they're like, pay this, take your assessment, and then do the follow-up courses, and you know, now get the book. You know, this was the first one though ever, and I have to take these for corporate work stuff all the time, right? And I think that's also why I am like, if one's so good, why do I keep taking them? Haven't we already figured this all out? That's like, if there's one self-help book, then how is there 1,000? There should be one. If it's right, there should only be one of them, right? And so that must mean, oh, I'm the product. That's how they make money, right? So it's usually why I don't like it. But I took this, and I already, before I took it, just reading the definitions, I'm like, well, that's clearly fucking me. Well, that's clearly fucking me, right? And it's like, they're going to basically score you as like 1, right? Here's your highest, and here's ones that you scored strong in. And this one you can do well, but it doesn't come naturally for you, right? And so when I took mine, it was like you had 3. Like 3 were all high, and it was wonderment, invention, and discernment, right? So
discernment, that's interesting.
So it was like, so first of all, it was kind of like, did you break it, right? You're supposed to get 2, and I got 3. I'm like, no, that totally makes sense. I'm the guy that's always sitting around like, I wonder why this and that. And that's why my dry erase boards are always full. I'm always the guy sitting around, even listening to you. I'm like, I wonder if he just did that, or he could maybe do that. And it's like, I can't help it. I cannot help it. I cannot stop it, right? And then I want to say, you know what? I'm going to make it. Now that I've wondered about that, I'm going to make it. So it's the inventor part. And then the discernment part says, no, that wouldn't work. You know what would work? And then I would do it. But where I always get stuck, and I know this so well about myself now, just I'm so self-aware at 42, and I've been doing this long enough, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on up here, right? It's just like, and I wonder what's going on up here because I'm wondering all the time, right? That I found out that, I can tell you what we need, and I can help you invent it, and I can tell you whether it'll work. But at that point, I'm like, okay, so where's my tenacity, people?
Right.
Who is actually going to take this somewhere now? Right. And that's the part.
You got to find that part of the
and
team
it's
part
like,
is big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal, man. Like, if you really want to move something forward, and it's probably why I also feel you a little bit. I don't like to manage.
Yeah.
I don't like managing. I just want to I want to stick my head, like if I had an office with a bunch of employees or something, I'd stick my head out and say, I got it. I got it. And you fucking people do what I tell you, and you manage those people. I'm out. I'm going to go back into my little laboratory, man, and come back out with something. You know what I mean? I don't like the whole managing part and making people's schedules because I'm too busy like with ideas. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people who are like that, the real wonderment and invention people, don't like to manage. They're more comfortable in their garage, banging around ideas and doing things like that. But at a certain point, you got to like turn it over to somebody, and that's why I'm kind of curious with you, like at 22, all right, you've proven you can do it, right? You can take an idea, right? And you've wondered enough, make some money. Like, so your proof of concept for yourself has already been solved. And this is probably why you're like, I think it's in my future that I'm going to be a billionaire because I've already proved I can do it. Now it's just about scalability. Now it's about, what makes the most money with my time. And you're already playing around with that with your e-commerce. So I would probably say you're probably well on your way too. So with all of that context, what do you see in the next 10 years if you forecasted it out, not specifically, but if you forecasted out just you in general? Do you, like, for example, do you see yourself finding a way to optimize the e-commerce or actually make the branding so much so that you could sell your e-commerce business? I don't even know if that's a possibility. I'd have to think about that, but how you would do that. But what do you see in the next 10 years for yourself? Because you've already proven that you're capable.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think about it enough. The only thing on my mind as of recently is just big goal from the beginning is just retire my parents. That's the main thing I think about right now. And then like kind of my plan after that was like kind of just restart. And but I know what you mean. So like I've recently I've like I said I've been trying to like learn just how to build like a brand, like come at it from the right angle, still like want to think of something that like I fuck with so like other people could fuck with it too.
Yep.
So and like I don't think about that stuff enough. I don't know what I'm doing, so it's just very
neither do I.
No, but you know what? This is good advice. And I'm not, again, like Evan said, we don't need to be giving you much advice. You're doing fine on your own. But word of advice, when he talks about his whiteboard, I got it one too. I am a big proponent of literally writing things down and leaving them up. And you'll find as you get older, when you jump into our realm, there's so many things in your head and your brain literally fills with things. You need to write things down to continue to motivate yourself, and not only to motivate yourself, but to kind of like stay on a path. And like I was saying earlier, you get stuck in a direction and then you're just you literally can't get out of that because you bury yourself to a point where it's like, I can't think about the next step because there's no way out. And if I do, I have to literally hit the brake and stop everything. And that generally is not a good idea unless you're financially set up in a place where you can say, I can take 6 months, a year off to regroup and sit in front of my whiteboard and do that. Get a whiteboard for sure. Write down on a pad of paper. Just start kind of, like I said, you got lots of time, but you start kind of just trickling in ideas. Keep those ideas with you. You're a smart kid. And you're going to certainly do whatever you want. You've already proven that to yourself. That's I think the first piece. And I think everyone would agree. Confidence is huge, but seeing results from the things you project is so important. If you can continue to go that way, you've got some stuff lined up as far as, helping your parents kind of just turn things in and, enjoy retirement. And then your next step is going to be focused on you. Like, what's next for Zach? And branding is a big deal for sure. We've branded ourselves in the past. We're doing that again. If you got a good solid brand, you talked about Gary Vee earlier, that can go anywhere, right? People know who you are or know what that's about. You can go anywhere with that. And that's a big deal. So that's a good focus for sure. Stay on that. Yeah.
What is, when you say branding, like, Zach, when you think branding, what does that mean to you?
So when I think branding, I just think about the brands that I fuck with. Like I said, like Full Send and Phase. Like I know how people feel about the guys who made it, the culture like around it, like how people like just like they would like die for that, and like that's definitely something that I'm gonna make. That's something I want to make.
But does that allow? So if you're branding yourself, because that's kind of what you're talking about, right? You're branding you, or are you branding like if I branded Evan, like how you see what I'm saying? Like what is the brand? Is it you or is it a company?
For sure, that I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know. No clue. I don't know if it's like my mindset of just like doing your own thing, or like something like I want to like get behind with like not like video games or something like that, or just like something general. Like Full Send isn't about anything. It's just like about like just kind of doing your own thing. Just
right. But it's tied. It's tied. It's tied to something. It's tied to you eventually. You're always going to be linked to a brand, no matter if it's your name, it's your logo, your slogan, whatever it is. People know you, and you can take that and put it anywhere, on a coffee mug, on a hat, on a video game. Trump's
a brand.
It's a brand. He's been a brand for a long time. People cringe when they hear his name or they celebrate, but it's a brand. And you know what I mean? Like that's I think you're starting to do that on Instagram. I think that's certainly a place to be. You know, social media is that is a brand, you know, in itself. That's how you spread it. Yeah. But there's a million ways to go about that for sure. But it's going to tie back to you as Zach, right? And everybody relates to you on some level, whatever that's going to be. And you can use that and catalyst that to another brand, and then it's all a spin-off of whatever you want to do. But you know, I like that idea, especially. I wish I had done that earlier. And again, you know, I wish I had a time machine. I'm hoping Evan will figure out how to figure that out, because that would be nice.
Got it. I would go write that on my dry erase board.
That on your dry erase
whiteboard.
Time machine? Question mark.
Need one of those for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what's on my dry erase board now. Taxes stuff.
Sometimes life has to be on there too.
But just the other day, I was working on this whole communications theory as what really is communications. And I had that thing so detailed out. I ended up needing my dry erase board back, and so I just took a picture of it. But man, I had it so detailed into like 6 different verticals. Like data is communications, and this was partially because of the bank that I work for, where it's a $12 billion sales entity that I work in, and communications is identified as our single biggest problem, right? And there is nobody that is in charge of communications. So I thought that was just so strange that here you have this international bank that is one of the biggest in the world, Santander. And here you have their automotive finance division here in the United States. They own Chrysler Capital. And of course, there's Santander Consumer USA. And you probably even, I know around in New York where you have new depository banks sprouting up everywhere, Santander. And it's like communication. Santander. Is it's funny you say that because of branding, because here in the United States it's referred to Santander. Yeah. And so one of the first things I did when I took over the Colorado market here is I rebranded it. And it's actually totally what I did. And I made this whole like joke about it with all my accounts, which are car dealerships. And like, oh, you're the new Santander rep. I'm like, who's that?
What is that?
And they're just like, I'm like, listen, Santander sounds like some shitty subprime bank out of Dallas, Texas. Santander is a $1 trillion international bank out of Santander, Spain. I'd like you to do business with that bank. And they're like, oh, fancy, Santander. And it totally worked. Yeah. And everyone now, when they say like Santander, I'm like, close, man. Look, you're trying.
Getting closer.
Right? Yeah, big important bank. That's correct. So when I walk in, I want trumpets playing. I want confetti to pop, like he's here, right? Not Santander out of Texas, right? So that was branding. But anyways, we were going, and it was just like, and I'm the communications guy kind of in our sales department. I unofficially and officially kind of in a weird way. And it was posed to me on a skip level meeting from one of our directors, like, walk me through the communications. And the first thing I said, it was like, well, we don't have anybody who's responsible for it. So it is our number one problem that we have. And there's no oversight. There's nobody that is tasked to fix it. And they're like, well, we all communicate. And that really was like, no, that is the act of talking. That is a willingness to collaborate. Communications is an actual thing that needs to be organized. And I started breaking down. And as an example, there was a Facebook like 2020 group, and it was nothing but finance managers and directors at all these dealerships, like 18,000 of them. And they would just get on these threads and just talk shit about and misinformation about our bank. And I'm like, we need to have a communication task force. We need to break it up into segments where someone's responsible for monitoring our online presence. There's 20,000 dealers here passing off misinformation about us. And somebody should be responsible with getting back into the group and correcting these people, and not just correcting them, but moving them into a more positive direction. So not only is that incorrect, but sell, right? And because that's 20,000 dealers we can influence. And those are the ones that decide whether or not to do business with us. And I just started breaking these things all down into these categories. And here's the thing about that. Nobody was doing that. Nobody. And this was the wonderment part of me sitting around and saying, why is no one responsible for this? I mean, you could say one wrong thing to a group like a big dealer group like Auto Nation or something, and it would cost us, $500 million. And I might be saying one thing to them, but I'm one division of our bank, yet other people have access to talk to them. So I could be doing all this high level work, moving these clients forward. And then here comes somebody from our credit team calling them, and they say something and it's all gone. And it's like, wait, we should be fucking talking. We should be saying the same thing. We should be intentional. We should be creating new narratives, and we should be having and it was like no one was doing it.
Nope.
And so I started just filling up my whiteboard with how that would look. And you send it over, and next thing you know, it's like, we're going to form a communications department. You're like, yeah, fucking, you're welcome. And it's like, and thanks, Evan, we'll let you know who's going to run it. Well, didn't I just create all this for you? It's like, awesome, high level work, and that's how I know I shouldn't be in corporate either. It's just like, Jesus. But I think it takes something like that. I mean, that's kind of why I was going through that. It was like, it's sitting down and saying, where am I at right now? What am I doing? How much more can this be? Am I reaching critical mass, right? Where is my time? Am I reaching critical mass with my time? And if you want to be a billionaire, I mean, you can do the calculations now. You can say, well, I either can work the exact amount of time, but I got to make this much more during that time,
right.
Or I can make this amount, but I got to get this much of my time back. You know what I mean? It's just the math. It's just, okay, if I'm going to make $1 billion, that means, and you say that's in gross, and you don't, just using your e-commerce as an example, what's $1 billion divided by 365 days? I got to make that much in a day.
Right.
And it's like, well, shit. Well, that means I got to buy this amount of stuff. And if I'm, 300% markup, that means I got to take that billion or whatever that is, a number a day, and divide it by that much, because that's how much I have to be buying a day to be able to mark up to get to that price. And then it's like, you could do the math and say, well, this isn't going to make me a billionaire. So I can either really expand on this and try to sell that amount of products, right? Or I can use this as the catalyst in terms of capital, keep this going so it's always feeding the money in, and then I can reinvest all my time by using that additional capital into new things. And I think what I'm hearing is, Zach, you're kind of saying that's going to be the direction you're kind of going in. This is going to kind of be this meat and potatoes that's going to kind of launch you into doing other things, other investments, other businesses, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, this just gave me a really good foundation for like business in general. I
Yep.
think.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just like about just learning like bits and pieces of other things that I want, and then just like mashing them together.
Yep.
For like the most part, like I know I could like for sure like run a brand or something or like that, but I would just have to like just like the logistics of it aren't really there, like the hiring the people, the idea behind the brand. But like I know I could do it.
Right.
But that's obviously everyone says that for sure.
Why do you think there's no? Yeah, well, why do you think the logistics aren't there?
um I mean, they're not there because I just haven't tried yet. Like
Yeah.
once I start getting the ball rolling, like I said, I just don't have a real idea, and I don't just want to like just do something to do it.
Right.
Right.
I kind of just like let everything happen almost. Like
Yeah.
everything kind of just has been working out ever since like I started this. Like it was so stressful in the beginning. Like I almost quit 10, 12 times.
Sure.
But like as of recently, like the last 6 months, like last 6, 8 months, like getting on like the stream kind of just changed, like the trading fraternity stream
Sure. Sure.
kind of just changed everything, changed my mindset. So like it's I kind of just take everything a day at a time. So like I definitely don't think about the future. I mean, I do think about the future, but I don't know. It's weird. It's
You know
weird.
what's funny? We said this
Lots,
shit to Adrian. Sorry, Zach. We said
yeah.
you make, and I. You know what? I said this too when we were talking to Adrian, and this time I'm gonna fucking look it up. You make, I think, 80% of your overall wealth from the ages of 45 to like 65. Right. So that
Okay.
like that is where like and you
Yeah.
when you look at your overall, and if you think about people in general, that kind of makes
Mm.
sense, right? You come out of college, you work at the wing zone, and and then all of a sudden you get a lot of experience, you get those promotions, you all of a sudden have money to invest, you buy houses, and next thing you know, like your wealth all of a sudden really expands exponentially from 45 to 65. So if you're making the amount of money you're making now
Mm-hmm.
at 22, by the time you hit 45, and you're going to be fucking crushing it,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of it. It's hard for me to not listen to you at 22, and for me to go back to my brain at 22, and just like, fuck, man, like I was thinking like this. I just didn't have the confidence,
Right.
or I had the advice that you shouldn't do this. I mean, that was 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, it was like, you need to go to college, you
Mhm.
need to go get a good job. And I think just even more so now in 2021, especially the pandemic, I think is accelerating this ideology of, no, you don't. You can sit
Right.
at home and you can make a bunch of money.
Right.
You don't need to do that. If it's just making money, you don't need to do that. And I didn't at the age of 22.
Right.
I was just like, it was all about the job. It was all about your career, right? And I wish I had either, like what now, or I wish the culture around it was different now. You know what I mean, Shane? Like,
I think there's
that
both.
wasn't
I
it
think
for us.
Well, think if 20 years ago you had the opportunity, and I say opportunity only because there's technology has changed a ton. I mean, Facebook was just a brand new thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the opportunity with eBay and online e-commerce businesses and Zoom that we're on right now, and all these things that have allowed this. I mean, we've always talked about this. Business has to adapt. Your business has to adapt, or it's going to fail. And it doesn't matter what generation you're in. It doesn't matter what what year it's in. If you don't adapt to the things that are constantly changing, then you will fail. And this is just one other example of many businesses are having to adapt for shitty reasons, but also I think there's some of that was already changing anyway. And I think, Evan, if you had the same technology advantages, and I'll put it that way, I guess, that Zach has now, I think your mindset would have been different because you were already that type of person. I was too.
We just didn't have the resources.
We didn't have the same sort of resources. I was doing some of those things on the side, even working for somebody else, and just like I always saw working for somebody else as I'm capped on how much I'm going to make. I'm capped on my ability to think for myself. So I have to do things outside of that in order to have success. In my view, success was, what I create with my career and how much money I make too. But I think some of the technology, if it was there, and some of it was barely there. I mean, I remember when Facebook first started and people were telling me to get on, and I'm like, I don't want to share my fucking pictures of Friday night with people. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But
look at my eggs this morning.
Right.
Great,
and
man.
it drove me
awesome.
nuts to see
so
my friends
weird.
post that stuff. Like, no one cares about your half-eaten breakfast. It's disgusting. I don't want that. But YouTube was becoming a thing, and there was a little while where I was kind of creating stuff on YouTube, but I was doing it to share with family and friends. I never saw that as an opportunity to take it somewhere and brand yourself and create things that never made sense to me, because even though my mindset was there to get outside the norm, it was like, no one's doing that. Right.
Well, I think part of the big difference too is, and Shane and I, this is something I can say because I have failed more than you have. When I have failed, it is almost always under the same context. I was trying to make money,
right,
instead of money being the result, right? And I think whether you did it on purpose or not, Zach, your model, the e-commerce model with eBay and buying and selling, is you can't avoid it. Like, unless because this, what it was saying, like you're supposed to try to solve a problem or create a product or service that people need and want. And if you're successful in doing that, then the likelihood you'll make money skyrockets, right? But if you're going out saying, I'm just trying to make money, then what ends up happening is you end up overselling something, right? Because you've never focused on it. This is the vacuum cleaner salesman, right? This is but if you really say, what I'm going to start with is not making money. I need to identify something that can make a lot of money. And then once I've identified that, I need to kind of let the money I need that thought just to sit over here. And all of my intention needs to go in trying to solve a problem or create a product and service that people need and want. I mean, look at Zoom. I mean, Zoom is a huge problem solver, right? So once they were able to solve this problem of how do we get everybody looking at each other, organizing them, creating easy ways for them to connect and do all this, and they put all their energy and resources into that.
Continue business, continue schooling.
Yeah. And once they get that set up, their ability to make money off of it skyrockets now, because you now have that platform. Same thing with Facebook. You look at a lot of the technology, industry, and you're just like, listen, they're all solving problems. Every time that you see something, it's just a problem solved. Twitter, what a unbelievably simple concept, right? I need to say some shit, and I need a platform to say it. And it's like, what else does it do? Nothing. This, like, you got something to say, and no one can hear you. Right. So let's give you a platform to fucking say it. And if people like it, they can follow you. And if they want to share it, they can do that. And then the way that becomes monetized is because you're now an advertising piece. It's such a simple problem that was solved, and now it's worth gazillions of dollars. As a matter of fact, people make their own money being their own product on it. So, that's always my best advice that I can give to somebody who's younger. Like, don't try to make money. Money is the result. Go and identify a problem,
solve a problem, money will follow.
Or create a product and service that people really need and want. And then if you're successful in doing that, then the likelihood you'll make money will go up. It doesn't mean you will. It just means that the propensity to make a lot of money will go through the roof. And then you can figure out how to monetize it, but you gotta kind of do those things first. And it's still like the thing that, I got a side thing that I'm working on, and it's a huge problem solver, and it's extremely profitable. And at that point, I'm not even trying to make money. I'm just trying to get this thing done and get it to market. And once that's done, then man, it'll be huge. That's like year 5 now, and it's okay. Because it's just like, I'm still going to solve the same problem. No one else has solved it yet. And And it's so much further along than it was even 5 years ago. Even 5 years ago, we thought we were there. We're like, we've done it, we've made it. And it's just like, now we got to have this whole other problem. Like, how the fuck do we get this to market? Like, how do we get it to people? And where it got held up is we kind of just stopped and tried to make money off of it. And it's like, no, we didn't do that right. Right now, we're just trying to shove it into places. We still need to. There's two problems here: the product and the service that needed to be created, and the other problem is market penetration. Like, how do you get this new thing into this like crowded market full of products and services? And there's people that are actively keeping these kind of things out because it's competition. And we had to like figure out, okay, well, we can't go the traditional route. We got to figure out ways to slide this into market where there's very little competitor space. And we're like there. It's still going to take a while, but yeah, it's and like e-commerce is such a simple idea that has a lot of complexity to it, right? It's the idea is simple. It's I'm going to buy something low and sell high.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and I'm going to sell in a way that mirror people's buying habits, which is online. And then all I got to figure out is where to find these products and how to get it to them and how to collect my money, and then how do I do that? Wash, rinse, and repeat. So the idea is simple. I'm sure the complexity to scale it is complicated. I mean, You're talking about creating your own little algorithms and shit to try to figure out what to buy and how much and what to sell for. And should I use my limited capital to make that investment? No, I'm not going to. I'm going to have some discipline and buy the things that I'm supposed to be buying that I know I can move. And I don't know, man. I love having these kind of guests. We should have nobody on except people like Zach.
Oh, dude. I'll tell you this. This is, and I know we're kind of getting up against the clock again here too, but no worries. I just wanted to, we'll have you shout out your Instagram here in a minute. Speaking of branding, because the stuff that's on here is phenomenal. This is how I know he has the right mindset about where he's going in life. He has these posts that I read all the time and I love them. But one that caught me recently was this one where he's talking about, I'd rather work and have no money and have no social life than be broke and hang in with the same people that were doing the same thing last year, right? Where people are spinning their wheels doing nothing and they don't have a future mindset of what they want to do, because guess what, man? Evan and I know this very well. You ain't gonna be 22 forever, right? It goes away so quickly. You got to be careful.
Start walking around with things like this.
You walk around with a fucking cane. You got to take care of yourself. You got to see, you have to understand the future comes so much faster than you realize. And I listen, everyone makes mistakes in life. You're going to run into a ton of them. Success comes with failure. You're going to see that. And I think you have the mindset to understand that's what's going to happen. Just keep pushing forward. But I know that mindset's there because of the posts that you make on there. And go follow Zach for sure. He's got some stuff that'll motivate anybody from 18 to 90 on there. So it's phenomenal stuff, man. I really, really appreciate you stepping in, being part of the podcast, and just your story's cool, man. There's a lot of young guys that listen to this, but there's a lot of boomers that listen to this show too. And I know people that are looking like, I'm done with their job, but they got to make money. What's this eBay thing we're talking about? What do you mean e-commerce? I mean, there's so many ways now, as Evan said, there's so many ways now to make money and opportunities. You're a great example of what you can do without having any knowledge, and you just figure out life, man. It's phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. How do we follow you?
Yeah. Just Zachary Sodano on Insta. ZachArysodano.
And we'll post that in the description below for sure. But yeah, go follow this kid, man. He's a hustler. He's also a helper, and I really appreciate, Zach, that you do that for other people.
Yeah, anyone hit me up anytime, please.
Yes, he will certainly share information. Too. Yeah, it's all free. And that's part of it. Turn it around and pay it forward. I know Evan and I are about that too. So 100%. Man, it's for sure.
Very cool. Well, for everyone who's listening on iTunes, Podbean, where else are we at now?
Spotify, YouTube, obviously, right here you can watch the video podcast. So check us out.
I always like people watching it on YouTube because, you actually get to see our faces.
Our
and you get
ugly
to
mugs.
see, yeah, right. I look like I've been recovering from knee surgery for the last 4 days.
I wasn't gonna say.
I can't watch Rambo anymore, Predator. I'm like, just like, I'm getting stir crazy.
Your butt's sore.
Oh, dude, yeah, seriously, just walking around. And my wife's like, "Will you fucking sit down?" I can't. Like, I just, what, you guys are just going to take care of me every day? Like, I've already been to Home Depot this morning, so, but make sure you guys listen, smash the like button, set up your notifications, follow us. We have people like Zach all the time. And, it's just exposure is, if you're curious, you don't have to agree with everything that we say, right?
No.
But just being exposed to these things, one thing may jump off the paper to you. One thing, like, you know what? 99% of what that fucking Evan guy said is like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But he did say something that really kind of got me thinking, or Shane seemed to really, man, he said that with so much conviction that I believe him. Or, man, Zach is, so just listen. And then make sure you guys stay tuned. Zach, thank you, man. This was very, very cool. I'm going to keep a close eye on you, my man.
Yeah,
I'm going to see what the hell is going on with you. So this was great. So thank you, everybody. Be kind to each other. Love one another. For the most part, it's pretty good, this whole life thing.
Yeah.
So don't get swept up in some of the other shit, right? Just fucking stay in your lane and be a decent human. Right? Yeah.
Not too hard.
All right, man. Well, this was fun. Zach, thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it, bud. Yeah.
All right, guys. Everyone take care.
Stay in touch.
All right.
Have a good day, guys.
All right, man. Later.
Later.
Yeah, so mainly I came back from my sophomore year of college. My first year of college, I went to community college just in my town.
Mhm.
Then I went away to school in Buffalo, University of Buffalo, and let's just say I had a little too much fun, and one year
As
was
we all
enough.
did.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
And one year was enough, and then I came home from that and just knew school wasn't for me. Started working at this wing place just in the next town over,
I love
and
wings.
yeah, this place called Wing Zone, and I was working there like 6 days a week, and like I was killing it. Like I always just like work mad hard, but I was just like, this can't be it. Like I was like thinking like 5, 10 years down the line, I was like, we got to do something. And then so I was always just like on Instagram, like looking at like those ads of those kids like in Lambos or like
Right.
doing 50K in Shopify a month, and I was just like, what are they doing? Like, there's
Yeah.
no way that's real, but like, there's got to be something else out there that I can
Yep.
find.